What's up, my Yu-Gi Bros? I'm your host, the RJB0. Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. The title for today's video is actually the brilliant work of one of my bros at the Facebook group. I don't remember who it was because it was a long thread and it was a long time ago, so I apologize for that. But take credit in the comments below because you done good. Anyway, the discussion that is so aptly described by the title below surrounds a piece of theorio that I've been kicking around for a while that I think I actually discussed in the Bujin video that I made a long time ago, which says that any deck which focuses on monster effects which activate in the grave will have their time to shine in the meta. So, with the exception of cards which have to be destroyed by battle before they activate their effects in the graveyard, basically every deck I can think of that falls into that category has met that rule. We're talking things like Fish Synchro, Plant Synchro, Zombie Synchro, Dark World Mermails, Dragon Rulers, Teledad, Bujins, Fire Kings, all of these decks. Basically, I cannot think of an exception to the rule except for things which surround Battle Searchers, which have had their times in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! However, in today's day and age, that isn't as useful because in today's game, Battle Searchers are really only going to work once because your opponent will run into them once and then they'll realize what's going on and they're probably just going to find ways of popping that card before attacking you. So Battle Searchers aren't necessarily as good. However, with the exception of Battle Searchers, once again, this rule seems to be absolute. So one of the reasons why I think this is true is because they're really difficult to stop. A monster effect which activates in the graveyard cannot be Veiler, it cannot be Skill Drained, it can't be Breakthrough Skilled or Fiendish Chained. Any of those things do not work on monster effects in the graveyard. You actually have to use extremely specialized cards to stop monster effects which activate in the graveyard. So they're really good because they are difficult to counter. One of the other reasons why I think that monster effects which activate in the graveyard make a deck good is because the natural tendency, kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Theory of entropy, the natural tendency of cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to go to the graveyard. If they start off in the deck, they have a few ways they can go. They're probably either going to go to your hand, to the field, or to the graveyard. And once they're on the hand or in the field, they're probably eventually going to go into the graveyard. It actually takes totally separate anti-meta strategies, usually, to end up with cards getting banished instead of going to the graveyard. So the general trend of cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to go to the graveyard, which means that there are a lot of cards which put cards into the graveyard for free. Things like Armageddon Knight, Mathematician, Card Trooper, Foolish Burial, Dragon Ravine, Dragon Shrine. There are just tons of cards in the game which allow you to send monsters from the deck to the graveyard for free. So that makes it extremely easy to set up for these combo pieces, and then of course, once you get those effects going, they're really difficult to stop. So that's why decks which center around monster effects which activate in the graveyard are so good. The big million-dollar question here is, so what? Why do you care? Well, knowing this piece of theorio actually allows you to make really good decisions when it comes to deck making, for one thing, but it also makes it easier to predict the meta in the future. For instance, when I look at the Duelist Advent, I see two archetypes with really good effects which all activate in the graveyard. Those are being Cosmic Dragons and Shaddolls. And those decks look like they're going to be game-breaking because they have a bunch of monster effects which activate for free and activate in the graveyard and have a ton of easy ways of putting them in the graveyard once you have them available to you. So that set looks like it's going to be game-breaking, and knowing this allows you to make predictions for what anti-meta cards are going to be good and what cards to get to prepare to use for that deck in order to maybe make a profit or allow you to set up for making a deck. It also allows you to play around with some rogue deck theory, which says that if you have a card with a decent effect that activates in the graveyard, chances are you're going to be able to find a way to abuse it, which means that you could come up with a rogue deck much more easily that is going to be good enough to contend with the current top tier. So that's my discussion about decks with monster effects which activate in the graveyard. I am going to be bringing this up a lot in the near future with my various deck reviews that are coming up. Meanwhile, one thing that you might want to do is check out the Facebook group, which I have a link to in the description below, because I am now doing a thing where I post the discussion topic for my next video a few days early on my Facebook group, so the people on the Facebook group get a chance to discuss it before I get to the video, so that y'all are armed and dangerous when it comes to the comment section. I might actually attribute an idea that I had to you guys in the near future, so check that out. Meanwhile, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, let me know why in the comment section below, and of course, subscribe for more. Now I'm just totally derailed. Anyway, I'm your host, the RJB0. Thank you guys for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. I got a jet. See y'all.